All right, hi guys. Today we are doing multiplying and dividing rational numbers. This is just going to be a one-day quick lesson on stating or on multiplying decimals and fractions that are also net positives and negatives. So we've got to make sure we know those integer rules. Knowing the integer rules for dividing, because we'll be dividing decimals and fractions that are positives and negatives. So let's go ahead and get started. This was your warm-up for today. -4 times 8. 1/3 times 5, 6, and 3.2 times 0.7. So first thing we need to remember is when multiplying integers, we just multiply. Ignore the negatives and positives. Pretend they're not even there. So 4 times 8 is 32. And then we go back and look. Same signs, your answer is going to be a positive answer. Different signs, your answer is going to be a negative. These two have different signs. So our answer is a -32. All right, multiplying fractions, way easier than subtracting and adding them because we just go straight across. 1 times 5 is 5. 3 times 6 is 18. Simplify if you can, but in this case, we can't. 5/18 is as simple as it can get. So that's for that one. Multiplying decimals, we ignore the decimal places. We just multiply 32 times 7. 7 times 2 is 14. We carry the 1. 3 times 7 is 21. Plus 1 is 22. So we have the digits 2, 2, 4. Now we need to place our decimal. And we do this by counting how many numbers are behind the decimals in my question. So that's 2 place values in my question, which means there needs to be 2 place values in my answer. So 2.24 is my answer for that one. So it's important that we know how to do these 3 skills because what we're doing today is we're combining these skills into one question. So let's go ahead and look at our first example. First, we need to remember what the rule is with integers going on. What's the integer rule? Well, multiplying, ignore the negatives and positives. So really, we just need to multiply 3.5 times 4.6. And to multiply decimals, we also ignore the decimals. So really, what we're doing here is 35 times 46. 6 times 5 is 30, carry my 3. 6 times 3 is 18, plus my 3 is going to give me 21. I am done with my 6. So now I'm on to the 4. 4 times 5 is 20, carry the 2. 4 times 3 is 12, plus 2 is 14. Don't forget that you do need a place value because you're done with the 6. So really we have 1400. Now I'm ready to add these lines together. 0 plus 0 is 0. 1 plus 0 is 1. 2 plus 4 is 6. And nothing plus 1 is a 1. Now I can go back and look in my question. There was 2 numbers behind the decimal in my answer or my question. So there needs to be 2 numbers behind the answer or behind the decimal in my answer as well. So really I have the digits 16.1. Now I can check the sign. Was this a positive or a negative 16.1? Well, remember when multiplying, if they're the same, your answer is positive. If they're different signs in the question, your answer is negative. They're different signs here, so it's going to be a negative 16.1. All right, now it's time for you to try your own. So go ahead and try this one in your notebook. Remember, ignore the signs and the decimals and just multiply. I'll pause the video while you try. All right, let's go ahead and check this answer. So I ignored the decimals and the negatives, and I just multiplied 78 times 45. Then I got the digits 3510. I saw that there was 1, two numbers behind the decimal in my question. So there needs to be two numbers behind the decimal in my answer, giving me 35.10 or just 35.1. These are the same signs. A negative and a negative create a positive when you're multiplying. Let's go ahead and try one with fractions now. I have negative 2/3 times negative 5/12. So remember, when multiplying fractions, we ignore the negatives when multiplying. So I'm just going to multiply straight across the top, straight across the bottom. So 2 times 5 gives me 10. 3 times 12 gives me 36. I can and need to simplify. I can divide both of these by a 2. So I end up getting 5 over 18. These are both negatives in my question, so therefore they cancel each other out. Two negatives create a positive. Same signs, positive. All right, now go ahead and you try a multiplying fractions one on your own. We'll pause the video while you work. Let's check our answers here. So we have 5 6 times 3 eighths. I multiplied my numerators, 5 times 3 to give me 15. 6 times 8, my denominators, to give me 48. 15 over 48 simplifies to 5/16. Because they are different signs, my answer was a negative number, negative 5/16. Okay, so let's check your knowledge. Can you multiply rational numbers? So try both of these in your notebook. Remember, change any mixed numbers to improper first. We'll pause the video. All right, let's check our answers for this. So I want you to evaluate, how did you do with multiplying decimals and multiplying fractions? Now we're going to move on to dividing. So let's quickly review how to divide whole number integers, fractions, and decimals. Go ahead and try these in your notebook, all three of them, and then we'll try them as a class. So remember, when dividing dividing integers, we just divide. So 8 divided by 4 is 2. Then I look, are these the same or different signs? Well, one's a negative and one's a positive, so they're different. So my answer is going to be a negative 2. When dividing fractions, we never actually divide fractions. What we do is we multiply by the reciprocal. So we keep our first fraction, change our division to multiply, and then flip the second fraction over. Now I can go straight across the top to give me 6, straight across the bottom to give me 15, which then can be divided by 3 each to give me 2/5. Now we're going to move on and we are going to divide some decimals. So we've got to set up our long division here. So we have 0.7 on the outside and 3.2 on the inside. First, we've got to get rid of our decimal. So whatever decimal's on the outside, we're going to move it as far over as we can. So in this case, that's only one time. If I move the outside decimal one time, I also have to move the inside decimal one time. So I'm going to move this guy over one time as well. And then I'm going to slide it straight up. So my decimal really goes right there. Now I can do normal long division. So what I do here is I see how many 7s fit into 3. They don't. So I move on to 32. 7 fits into 32 4 times, which is a 28. I do my subtraction and find out I have 4 leftovers. So I add a 0 and I bring it down. 7 goes into 40 5 times, which is 35, with 5 left over. So I add a 0 and I bring it down. 7 goes into 50 7 times, which is 49. So I have 1 left over. I add a 0, bring it down. 7 goes into 10 1 time, which is 7, with 3 left over. And at this point, I'm going to allow you to stop. 4.571. Okay, so I do apologize that one was such a long number. I thought I picked nice, short, terminating decimals, but turns out that I picked run-on decimals as well. All right, let's go ahead and look at an example here. So we've got negative 1.92 divided by 0.6. So what we're going to do is we're going to ignore the negatives for now. We're going to check in on that at the end because that's our rule for dividing. Just divide normal and then deal with the negatives. So we're going to set up our long division here. So we have 1.92 divided by 0.6. First, we have to get rid of our decimals. So with our outside decimal, we slide it over as far as it can go. And in this case, that's only one spot. So we slide our other inside decimal one spot over and then slide it up. Now I'm ready for my long division. 6 does not go into 1, but it does go into 19 3 times, which is 18. So I have 1 left over. Bring down my 2, which is the next number. 6 goes into 12 2 times, which is 12. So I have a 0 left over and I can be done. So I got the digits 3.2. Now I need to decide, is that a positive 3.2 or a negative 3.2? Well, I look, are these the same signs or different signs? Different signs. So our rule for dividing integers is different signs. Your answer is negative. So really we have the answer negative 3.2. So go ahead and you try this one. We'll pause the video while you work. Try it in your notebook. Remember, ignore the negatives, slide your decimals, and divide. Let's go ahead and check that answer. So your answer should be positive 5.2. I have my division, long division over here to the left. So I want you to see, how did you do? Remember, same signs, your answer is positive. Let's go ahead and look at an example now of dividing fractions that are rational numbers. So we have 3/4 divided by 7/20. Remember, we never actually divide fractions. So we're going to set up our problem as a multiplication problem instead. 3/4 times 20 over 7. Now I'm ready to multiply straight across the top. 3 times 20 gives me 60. And straight across the bottom, which gives me 28. This can be simplified. 28 fits into 60 2 times, with 4 out of 28 left over. Except that's not as simple as it can get because I can pull out a 4 from a 4 and a 28. So really I have 2 and 4 28ths. I'm still not done because, I just wrote the exact same fraction. 2 and 1/7. I'm still not done because I have to check my sign. I had different signs up here. So my answer is going to be a negative 2 and 1/7. So as you can see, we divide our fractions just like we've been dividing since last year when we learned it. Now we just have to check our signs at the end, positive or negative. Let's go ahead and you try this one. I'll pause the video while you work. All right, let's see how you did. Too far. So as you can see, I took my division problem and I changed it to a multiplication problem by flipping over the second fraction. Then I've got negative 63 over 2, simplifying down to negative 31 and 1/2. And it's a negative because my answer or my question had different signs. One was positive, one was negative. Therefore, your answer is negative. Let's go ahead and see, do you understand dividing rational numbers? So you're going to try both of these in your notebook. Divide a decimal problem and divide a fraction problem. All right, let's check your answers. How did you do? Do you feel confident in dividing decimals and dividing fractions that are positive and negatives? Here's your answers, negative 25.2 and positive 3/4. All right, you do have homework today. Your homework is journal page 40, 1 through 9, odds only. So that's a total of 5 questions for your homework. If you do finish early, you can get some practice in on textbook page 66.